So the first official look at the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Wide is finally here. Let's get into it. What's up guys, Sal here. So we've known for a while that Samsung is working on two Z Fold 8 models. One is a straightforward successor to the Fold 7 and the other is a wider version clearly designed to counter the iPhone Fold. And now we're seeing this device appear inside the One UI 9 firmware through internal animations, which is what this foldable is shipping with. And remember, we saw similar internal animations for the Z Trifold months before launch, and those turned out to be surprisingly accurate compared to the final hardware. So this is pretty much what the wide Z Fold 8 should look like. The render lines up almost perfectly with what earlier leaks were pointing to, a seriously wide foldable. For context, when you put it next to the Z Fold 7, the difference is obvious. The Z Fold 8 Wide looks wider than pretty much any foldable we've seen so far, even wider than the first Pixel Fold, which already pushed the limits in that direction. I pulled this render into Photoshop to check proportions, and the inner display lands at roughly a 16:10 aspect ratio. That's basically ideal for media consumption, movies, YouTube, Netflix. Everything should look bigger and more immersive. The cover screen though is around 9:7, and that's where things get a bit questionable. It's short and very wide, which might not be the most comfortable layout for social media. So no, this isn't universally better, it's just a different approach. Still, it's good to see Samsung experimenting again instead of playing it safe every year. The Trifold did extremely well in terms of demand and public response, selling out within a couple of minutes in the US. That clearly told Samsung there's an appetite for bold foldable designs. So this time they're preparing a lot more units of the Fold 8 Wide, reportedly around 1 million at launch. Compare that to roughly 3.5 million units of the standard Fold 8, so the availability shouldn't be as tight as the Trifold was. Now the animation doesn't show the back panel, but we do have some camera details. The main sensor is expected to be 200 megapixels and the ultra wide will jump to 50 megapixels, which should be a solid upgrade over the Fold 7. What we don't know yet is whether there will be a third telephoto camera. Hopefully yes. It would be disappointing if Samsung limits this model while keeping the full camera stack exclusive to the regular Fold 8. Ideally, the only difference between the two should be the form factor, not capability. And yes, in case you missed it, the 3x telephoto on the standard Fold 8 is rumored to stay at 10 megapixels again, no upgrade there. Now one of the biggest improvements coming to both Fold 8 models is the creaseless display. Samsung has already shown this tech publicly and it looks impressive. Not completely invisible if you go looking for it under very specific lighting, but in normal use, it's about as close to crease-free as foldables have ever been. That alone is a big step forward. Apple's foldable is also using a similar Samsung-made panel, which says a lot about where the industry is heading. Both models are also expected to get an anti-reflective curved display similar to what we saw on the Z Trifold. It may not use the exact Gorilla Glass variant as the S25 Ultra or the S26 Ultra, which means scratch resistance and reflection handling might differ slightly. But having an anti-reflective coating on a foldable cover screen is still a solid upgrade. Battery capacity is rumored to hit around 5000 mAh, though it's unclear whether that applies to both versions or just one. There's also talk about the Fold 8 getting lighter by around 15 grams. That sounds ambitious, especially if Samsung is increasing battery size at the same time. Reducing weight while adding capacity isn't easy, so this is something we'll need to wait and confirm. Pricing for the standard Z Fold 8 is expected to stay the same. The wide version is harder to predict. But the fact that Samsung is planning far more units compared to the limited Trifold suggests they're confident in both the form factor and the demand. Personally, I like the direction. A wider foldable changes how the device feels and how you use it day to day. My only real concern is the camera setup. If this launches without a full triple camera system, it will feel like Samsung held back when they didn't need to. So here's the question for you. If both versions cost the same and have identical specs apart from the form factor, which one would you pick? The standard Fold 8 or the wide version? I'll be active in the comments, so let me know. And if you want the latest on the S26 Ultra, there's a new update on a major feature finally coming to more models. Check that out here, and I'll see you there.